E vamos começar, então, num oferecimento de São Paulo Chamber of Commerce, o programa Green Card e Migração aos Estados Unidos, Programa de Investidores EB-5. Para compor a nossa mesa de honra, convidamos e apresentamos o senhor Farid Murad, diretor da São Paulo Chamber of Commerce, Associação Comercial de São Paulo. Senhor Carlo Barbieri, presidente do Grupo Oxford USA. Senhor Kevin Wright, economista, temos aqui mais informações sobre ele, autoridade em economia e negócios, planejamentos por mais de 900 projetos, maior especialista em EB-5 dos Estados Unidos, desde o início dos anos 2000. Vamos recebê-lo. E temos também o senhor Aaron Chock, deputado do governo dos Estados Unidos da América, o deputado que mais esteve envolvido nos comitês de Congresso, que mais interagiu com o Executivo. Sobre o assunto EB-5, e ele irá comentar sobre o futuro do programa EB-5 e quais as possíveis mudanças o governo americano poderá fazer ao programa em um futuro próximo. Vamos recebê-lo também. Iniciamos o nosso evento, Green Card de Migração aos Estados Unidos, Programa de Investidores EB-5, com a palavra do nosso diretor, Farid Murad.
Boa tarde. É um prazer estar aqui com vocês na tarde de hoje. Nós temos o prazer, o imenso prazer de receber o senhor Aaron Chock, que é membro do Congresso americano, o senhor Kevin Wright, também dos Estados Unidos da América, meu particular e antigo amigo, Carlo Barbieri, que é o presidente da Oxford nos Estados Unidos. O objetivo desse evento, na tarde de hoje, é mostrar um pouco a vocês tudo aquilo que muita gente quer saber e, às vezes, não tem oportunidade por falta, às vezes, de alguém que lhe mostre o caminho das pedras. E, para isso, o Carlos nos procurou, montamos esse seminário aqui na São Paulo Chamber, Associação Comercial de São Paulo, que eles vão nos mostrar como se obter visto, como funciona o processo EB-5. Ele trouxe duas autoridades americanas no assunto, além dele ser uma, e só que ele tem uma grande vantagem, que o Carlos é brasileiro, né? Então, além de ele falar o inglês muito bem, fala também um pouquinho de português, aprendeu lá com a gente, lá no interior, né? Então, a gente tem um pouquinho de conhecimento, né, Carlos? Mas, de qualquer jeito, é um prazer muito grande, eu não vou me alongar, eu vou deixar que todo o seminário se transcorra normalmente e ficaremos à disposição depois do final, se alguém tiver perguntas ou o que vocês acharem conveniente, será um prazer estar com vocês. Muito obrigado. E ao mestre de cerimônia, continue, por favor.
Muito obrigado pelas suas palavras de abertura, senhor Farid. E nós teremos agora a sessão principal 1, Internacionalização de Empresas e Green Card via Programa EB-5. Com a palavra, senhor Carlo Barbieri.
Boa tarde. Aqui na casa sempre é uma alegria muito grande. Nós já tivemos a semana passada a oportunidade de trocar uma ideia com alguns dos senhores sobre EB-5, sobre internacionalização da empresa, e hoje nós temos o prazer e a honra, e eu acho que a grande oportunidade, de termos presente as duas maiores autoridades americanas sobre EB-5. Os Estados Unidos tem 62 tipos diferentes de visto. Eu tenho, assim, a humildade de reconhecer que, se eu aprendi alguma coisa em EB-5 ao longo desses últimos 15 anos que a gente faz EB-5, foi com o Kevin Wright, que realmente é o Papa, é uma pessoa que começou a nos ensinar desde os primeiros passos como se fazer o EB-5, para que ele serve, como se monta, quais são as alternativas, e trazer para aqui para o Brasil o Aaron Schock, que é considerado, sem dúvida nenhuma, como já nos disse, foi dito agora no início, a maior autoridade dentro do Congresso americano, agindo com o Executivo e com o Legislativo sobre o projeto EB-5, que passou e passará por várias modificações dentro daquilo que é o interesse americano. Eu rapidamente vou passar para vocês um resumo do que foi apresentado na semana passada, que é sobre a internacionalização. Por quê? Porque quando a gente fala em EB-5, nós estamos falando na possibilidade da pessoa mudar para os Estados Unidos. Como o senhor sabe, os Estados Unidos têm 62 tipos de visto, mas o EB-5 é, assim, o Rolls Royce, é a primadona, é o melhor visto que a pessoa pode buscar para poder fazer a sua mudança. Desde 3 meses pode conseguir o green card, até 2 anos. O planejamento estratégico da pessoa para mudar para lá, num grau de internacionalização, seja da pessoa, da família ou do negócio, para aqueles que são empresários e que têm vontade de chegar lá de uma maneira mais sólida, numa velocidade maior e com uma segurança, sem dúvida nenhuma, que existe nos Estados Unidos, que pode ser ofertada a qualquer um, é realmente o programa EB-5. No mundo de hoje, quer dizer, internacionalizar-se ou internacionalizar as empresas é quase uma obrigação, certo? Não há nada, pode ser no campo das ciências sociais, pode ser na odontologia, pode ser na medicina, do direito, que a gente possa estar circunscrito ao nosso mercado interno. Quando nós falamos em internacionalização, e aqui tem várias pessoas, como meu querido amigo do século passado, Farid, que nos fala de que todos os fatores interessam ou interagem com uma internacionalização, seja os aspectos econômicos, os tributários, os legislativos, e em muitos casos, como é o nosso do Brasil, muitas vezes a burocracia é um fator impeditivo desse desenvolvimento necessário e desejado por parte das empresas aqui no país. Dentro desse modelo, por que nós entendemos que os Estados Unidos é a melhor opção? Pelas características, em primeiro lugar, do país, né, que diz respeito à sua legislação tributária. Agora, vocês viram, os Estados Unidos baixou o tributo de 35% para 21%, o que, logicamente, faz com que haja um interesse maior de mudar para um país onde a taxa tributária é tão mais baixa do que no Brasil. Agora mesmo, pouco antes na hora do almoço, o general Mourão estava aqui fazendo uma conferência e destacando que nos Estados Unidos só 19% do PIB é a arrecadação do país, e não é um país ruim em assistência, em estradas, em medicina e nada disso. Nós temos aqui quase 40%, a Associação Comercial faz o favor de nos dizer todo dia quanto a gente está pagando de imposto. Existe a figura também da empresa em que na nova estrutura tributária americana, em que quando você investe nos Estados Unidos, a empresa matriz não paga sobre o lucro que a empresa obtém nas filiais, seja no Brasil, seja quando for, o lucro é levado a uma figura específica chamada lucro não tributável, e existem, logicamente, as características normais do país, né? A legislação trabalhista, por exemplo, não existe na Flórida, nós não temos 13º, 14º, férias remuneradas, a dispensa é feita na decisão das partes, né, a empresa ou o empregado, cada um pode sair a hora que quiser. Isso tudo dá uma dinâmica na economia, e agora, nesse governo, que alguns gostam, alguns não gostam, mas ninguém deixa de dizer que ninguém fez nunca tão bem para a economia americana como o atual presidente. Nós temos um crescimento econômico que deu 4,2% no último trimestre. Cada 1% da economia que cresce, nós estamos tendo uma geração de 10 milhões de emprego, ou seja, só com 1,2 dos 4, nós geramos mais empregos do que o total do desemprego do Brasil. Então, essa pujança econômica, essa velocidade da dinâmica do país, nunca antes nos Estados Unidos, não vou falar nunca antes nesse país, porque vocês podem confundir com aquele rapaz que está cumprindo umas férias obrigatórias. O que acontece? Nunca antes na história dos Estados Unidos, a comunidade afrodescendente, por exemplo, teve apenas 6,2% de desemprego. No governo do Lula da Silva, quer dizer, do Obama da Silva, nós tivemos nos Estados Unidos uma taxa de desemprego dos afrodescendentes da ordem de 28%. Isso dá a ideia, da mesma maneira que as outras minorias, a espanhola, por exemplo, também está com uma taxa de emprego baixíssima e nunca a renda per capita das minorias foi tão alta desde que se começou a mensurar isso nos Estados Unidos como está sendo hoje. Isso traz o quê? Traz uma economia forte, isso traz uma economia pujante, isso faz com que o país ganhe dimensões realmente internacionais, certo? Porque, a partir daí, os Estados Unidos se fortalece, pode importar mais produtos e pode gerar mais crescimento em todas as partes do mundo. Programa EB-5, que é a razão do dia de hoje, passado essa parte, eu vou utilizar um pouco do tempo do Kevin para falar para os senhores sobre o EB-5, para deixar mais tempo para o Kevin falar sobre o projeto específico que ele nos traz, certo? O que é o EB-5? É uma forma da legislação de 1990, né, Kevin, que dizia que a pessoa que investir $500 mil nas áreas de baixo desenvolvimento econômico, $1 milhão nas outras áreas, e que esse investimento venha gerar 10 empregos, isto faz com que a pessoa se habilite a ter um green card. Esse green card é extensivo para o cônjuge e para os filhos menores de 21 anos. Então, a figura do green card rápido, do green card objetivo, esse tipo excepcional de obtenção de green card nos Estados Unidos, anteriormente, no começo, era feito através de investimentos diretos. Aí houve uma dificuldade muito grande, porque ninguém consegue investir em outro país sem estar lá para administrar os seus bens. E foi criado os chamados centros regionais, que o Kevin pode falar depois melhor, que era uma forma pela qual as empresas podiam desenvolver projetos através dos centros regionais, que é um ente aprovado pelo governo americano, para, a partir daí, utilizar essa estrutura para sair comercializando. O Kevin, por exemplo, ele já criou cerca de 200 centros regionais e já fez mais de 900 projetos EB-5. Então, sem dúvida nenhuma, vocês têm a oportunidade de conversar, dialogar, perguntar para quem é o maior expert em EB-5, sem dúvida nenhuma, nos Estados Unidos. O que implica no EB-5 que a gente tem que analisar? Primeiro, isso o deputado vai falar um pouco mais, sobre a gente tem que analisar a empresa. Qual é a empresa? Esse projeto que o Kevin está nos trazendo, por exemplo, é um projeto em Nova York. Quem está por detrás do projeto? Né? Qual é as pessoas que estão dentro dele? Qual é a saída estratégica que esse projeto tem? Temos que ter um advogado nos Estados Unidos. Os Estados Unidos nós temos só na Oxford 11 advogados na área de migração. Por quê? Porque cada advogado é especializado. Da mesma maneira que aqui a gente tem um médico que trata do joelho direito, as formas de imigração, essas 62 alternativas, tem advogados especializados que você precisa contatar de tal maneira a fazer um projeto que seja de vida, de mudança, a obtenção de um visto que esteja de acordo com a sua necessidade e a sua possibilidade. E quem faz EB-5 não faz L2, quem faz o L1 não faz o O, quem faz o O não faz o EB-1 e assim sucessivamente, certo? Bom, quais são os riscos? Eu gosto muito de falar sobre os riscos porque ninguém coloca $500 mil para obter um visto sem saber quais são os riscos e quais são as preocupações. O primeiro que a gente tem que entender é que para a pessoa conseguir o EB-5, o investidor, para ele ser aprovado, ele tem 3 exigências. Primeiro, ele tem que ter uma origem clara dos seus recursos, né? Então não pode ser um recurso que foi obtido de maneira não comprovada. Segundo, ele não pode ser cliente do Sérgio Moro de jeito nenhum, quer dizer, se ele tiver algum tipo de problema criminal, ele não é aprovado. E terceiro, ele tem que ter uma prova de que ele subsiste independentemente dos valores do EB-5. Quanto ao projeto, o que a gente precisa analisar? Se o projeto tem por detrás dele pessoas competentes. Segundo, se haverá alguma perspectiva de dificuldade no setor que o projeto está abrangendo, porque vejo que o EB-5 pode ser feito para escolas, para hotéis, para estradas, para centros de acolhimento de pessoas de idade, e assim sucessivamente. Não há, desde que você aceite as regras de gerar os 10 empregos, não há nenhuma limitação, certo? Aí você tem que estudar também qual é a saída estratégica. Cada projeto é diferente. Tem projetos que você empresta o dinheiro, ele devolve o dinheiro ao final dos 5 anos. Tem projeto que você entra de sócio no projeto. Tem projetos que oferecem uma garantia em escrow account durante o desenvolvimento dele. Tem projetos que oferecem outro tipo de participação. Tem projetos que pagam um pouco mais, que são muito seguros. Tem projetos que pagam mais, que têm menos segurança. Enfim, os Estados Unidos têm 800 centros regionais e tem mais de 1.000 projetos em andamento. Então, a escolha do projeto é essencial. Para quem, como nós, estamos lá e acabamos vindo ao Brasil com uma certa regularidade, outro dia eu vi que tiveram mais de 30 projetos sendo apresentados aqui em São Paulo ao longo dos últimos 3 ou 4 meses. E eu creio que isso causa até uma certa preocupação, uma apreensão. Qual é o projeto melhor? Ué, em termos daquilo que eu quero, porque existem muitos bons, né? Mas em termos de segurança, em termos de saída estratégica, em termos de recuperação do recurso, e qual é aquele que atende mais à minha vontade, que eu posso gostar de empreendimentos na área de educação, posso gostar na área de hotelaria, na área de transporte, na área de construção civil, e assim sucessivamente, certo? Bom, essas são as ponderações que eu queria fazer com os senhores, básicas, introdutórias, sobre o EB-5. Agora, todos os senhores, algum dos senhores não entende inglês? Beleza, todo mundo entende, então. Então, beleza. O deputado, então, vai nos falar em inglês, logicamente, a respeito da sua visão do legislativo e como fazer um projeto EB-5, e o Kevin vai falar especificamente de um projeto que ele, com toda a experiência, acabou desenvolvendo pessoalmente, além de todos os outros. O Kevin é a pessoa que mais EB-5 proveu aos Estados Unidos, inclusive na China. O Kevin é um grande viajante para a China, é uma pessoa que tem a sua residência no aeroplano que ele estiver voando naquele momento, ele fica mais de 200 dias por ano fora dos Estados Unidos, apenas cuidando de projetos EB-5. Então, da minha parte, o básico está aí, ao final a gente está à disposição para mais perguntas, certo?
Muito obrigado, senhor Barbieri, pela sua introdução ao assunto. E vamos agora à sessão principal 2. Futuro do programa EB-5 e possíveis mudanças pelo governo americano. Com a palavra, Mr. Aaron Chock.
Good afternoon. So it's great to be back here in Brazil. Thank you for the invitation to be with all of you and your interest in learning more about the U.S. EB-5 Investor Visa Program. I came to Brazil on my first trip as a young man wanting to visit Rio, as every American young man wants to visit Rio, right? But as an American politician, I came back first in 2009 with the U.S. Congress, and we were hosted by your president then, Lula, which was very interesting. Meeting with President Lula, and then I came back leading the trip myself, the delegation in 2014, and we were hosted by President Dilma at that time. And so as an American politician, I find your politics in Brazil almost even more exciting than American politics, right? People tell me Donald Trump and American politics is reality TV. And I tell Americans, no, 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 no. Brazil is reality TV. Very interesting characters. And actually, coincidentally, we met in the airport at the time, the candidate running for president, Maria Silva, that her name? Yeah. Marina Silva. Yes, she was just sitting in the airport. I said, I think I see her from TV, so I went up and introduced myself. So anyways, I'm watching with great interest what happens here with your elections. Only in Brazil could a man in prison be leading the polls, right? But a little bit about my background and tell you a little bit. You probably think I look young as an American politician, but the truth of the matter is I've been in elected office for 14 years in the United States. And my story is not unique to American politics. No one in my family has ever been in politics. My father is a physician. His father was an immigrant from Germany. So my grandfather came from Germany. He sold fruit on the streets of Chicago. He had 6 children. 5 of them became doctors. And I'm the son of a doctor. So he told me, you can be anything, just don't be an attorney. So I became a politician. No. Truth be told, I was very entrepreneurial, and I started my first business when I was 14, and I started buying real estate when I was in high school. And I got into government because the government got in my way. And as members of the Chamber of Commerce here in Sao Paulo, you can probably appreciate sometimes government, many times government, is not your friend in business. And so I ran for my local government when I was 19 years old to go to the university a year early. My school system blocked me because they get money from the state government for every child in their public school system. So they didn't want me to leave early, even though I had all my credits that I needed. So at 19 years old, I was very upset, and I ran against the school board president. She took me to court. She had me thrown off the ballot. And with the help of 15 mothers, we knocked on doors, and we got 6,000 people to write my name on the ballot and beat the school board president by 60%. So that's how I got into politics. And I served on our local government for 4 years, and then I ran for the state government in Illinois, my home state, against an incumbent state representative. And 40,000 people voted in that election, and I won by 235 votes. So I always tell people every vote does make a difference. And I served 2 terms in the state government, and then I ran for the U.S. Congress and was nominated at 26 years old, which made me the youngest congressman in America. To give you some perspective, there are 435 congressmen. The average age in the Congress is 60 years old. So when I was elected, out of 435, there were 4 of us under the age of 40. And 3 of them were 38, and I was sworn in at 27. So I added a lot of diversity to the Congress. So this is just a picture of my swearing in. You may wonder, the woman that is holding the Bible that is swearing me in, her name is Nancy Pelosi. In 2008, she was the Speaker of the House, which is the most powerful congressperson in the Congress. And that is my friends and family around me getting sworn in. So that's from 10 years ago. I don't think I look much younger, do I? 10 years ago. But interesting about American politics, we have our own elections coming up in November. And right now, it looks as though the Republicans, the president is a Republican, the Senate is controlled by Republicans, the Congress is controlled by Republicans. It looks as though the Congress is, the Congress at least, is going to flip to Democrat. And if the Democrats win the Congress, she's likely to be the next speaker again, which is very, very unprecedented because typically when your party loses power and you're in charge of the Congress, you go bye-bye. She doesn't go anywhere. She stays. And she's the first female Speaker of the House and the longest-serving Democratic leader in American history. She's also a mother of 6 children. So it's amazing when you learn about her history, a very, very tough woman, and you'll be reading about her probably in a couple of months. after the elections. So I was the youngest member of Congress. They like to joke with me because I was the fittest member of Congress. And I was President Obama's one of his good friends because I mentioned to you I served in state government. Well, I served in Illinois state government. Many of you will know before he was a U.S. senator, he was a state senator. So we served in a very small chamber together at the state government level. And in 2008, when I was elected to Congress, in 2008, he was elected president. Obviously, he got a much nicer house. And so we made some news because the first trip he took on Air Force One, his airplane, he invited me to go with him. So, you know, people wondered how come this Democratic president is inviting this young punk, this young, you know, Republican from a different party, but it was because we had served together for many years at the state government level. So that's us coming down the airplane. That's not relevant. So in the Congress, I focused on tax and trade issues. My background is actually in finance. It's not in political science. And so when I got to the Congress, I said, I want to focus on tax and trade, which is one of the reasons why I came to Brazil so much. The two largest democracies on earth, India and Brazil, we actually don't have free trade agreements with. And so being young, I thought, hey, I want to work on some trade long term. What are the countries that we should be building relationships with? In addition to trade and tax policy, so I served on the Ways and Means Committee. That's the Tax and Trade Committee in the Congress. I also focused on immigration. As I mentioned, my family are immigrants to the United States. I believe that a robust immigration policy is important, not just to give the hopes and dreams and aspirations of those who want to migrate, but frankly, it's important for our economy because Americans don't have enough babies. And so if we're going to grow at the rate we need, and we're going to continue to attract the talent we need in our country, it's going to come from immigrants from around the world. So my first piece of legislation that I passed was actually a guest worker program called H-1B. And after I passed that program into law, I was then approached about the EB-5 program. Very simply put, the EB-5 program is an investor-based visa where the U.S. Congress gives preference to applicants if they invest and create jobs for Americans. To put this in perspective, the U.S. gives 1 million visas a year to foreigners to come to the United States. Of that 1 million, 800,000 are given out simply based on family. You'll hear the president talk about chain migration, our president. Chain migration means my mother's an American, my brother's an American, my sister's an American, I married an American. But the chain has gotten so long that now we say, oh, my cousin's an American, my great nephew's an American. And so President Trump is saying, hey, listen, this is a long chain. We need to shorten the chain and have fewer family-based immigrants and more merit-based immigrants. So of that 1 million visas, 800,000 right now are given out family-based. The other 200,000 are given out merit-based. Well, what are the merit-based categories? The most popular merit-based category is the employment-based EB-5 visa. Why? Because it's the only self-sponsoring visa program. All the other merit-based visas, you need someone in the U.S. to sponsor you. You need an employer to sponsor you. You need a university to sponsor you. You must come with some wonderful talent. You're a PhD physicist, or you're a, Albert Einstein or something. EB-5, the only requirement is two things. One, you don't have a criminal history. And actually, you can have some criminal history. You just can't have a big criminal history. And we can talk a little bit about that. The second is you have to be able to show 500,000 US dollars equivalent clean money. As long as you can show a $500,000 clean money and no criminal history, you're granted a green card. You're granted permanent residency and eventually citizenship if you want it. Those are the only two qualifications. So when people say to me, well, what if I get denied? Or what if the government doesn't approve me? I say, well, do you have a criminal history you're not telling me about? And can you prove up the 500,000? If you can accomplish those two things, you're granted automatic approval through this program. So it's why the program is so important, because it leaves no discretion to the bureaucrats in our country, to the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. If it's exceptional talent, maybe I think you're exceptional, maybe I don't think you're exceptional, right? And if it's an employer sponsoring, maybe the employer sponsors you today, 5 years from now, they don't sponsor you. So those other type of visa programs, there's less security, and the EB-5 program is maximum security, which is why it's so popular. It's also popular politically in our country because every congressman and senator wants an EB-5 immigrant. Why do we want you living in our district? Because you come with money, because you have to come and employ Americans, and because usually if you have 500,000 US dollars, it's not your last real, right? It's not your last dollar. And so people who come with that kind of investment usually buy a home, they buy a car, they might invest in property. They are contributing members to society. I mentioned we have a new speaker. This is the man currently the most powerful congressman. His name is Paul Ryan, and he's also a good friend of mine, and he's currently working on a new EB-5 law. Why are we working on a new EB-5 law? Well, the program has been around for 30 years, and the program has stayed the same for 30 years. And the most important thing about what stayed the same is the price. So the investment amount in 1991, when the program was started, was 500,000 US dollars. Today, the investment amount is 500,000 US dollars. In the meantime, our friends to the north, Canada, their investment-based visa program, similar to EB-5, is 1 million US dollars equivalent. Great Britain, the UK, has a similar investment-based visa program. It's a $2 million US equivalent. Australia has a similar investment-based visa program. Theirs is 4 million US dollars equivalent. So let's just say American pride is that we shouldn't be the cheapest country in the world when it comes to an investment-based visa. And so among the many things that we're talking about changing in the new law is increasing the investment amount. Now, anyone who tells you that they know when the Congress is going to do it or the amount the Congress is going to put is lying to you. Because as a congressman, I will tell you, Congress doesn't know what Congress is going to do until they do it. But I can assure you that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen after the election, and will happen probably sometime next year as a part of an overall immigration package that the Congress will pass. We also have a new president. As I mentioned, I was friends with President Obama because we were from the same state. We were different parties. I'm a Republican. He's a Republican, kind of. So I had the opportunity to meet with him to talk about immigration. Now, many of you probably have read many things that the president has said, our president has said about immigration. The point I would make is this. President Trump is very tough on illegal immigration. And when I talked to the president, he knew I was a sponsor of the EB-5 program. He himself has used EB-5 investment in his real estate projects, and he wants to expand the EB-5 program and add more EB-5 visas. And I said to him, Mr. President, the problem is when I go to China or I go to India or I go to Brazil, people say to me, is it safe to come to America? You know, your president doesn't like immigrants. And he says, why do they say that? I said, because they listen to you talk negatively about immigrants. And he says, no. He says, I don't like illegal immigrants. He said, you should tell them, I love immigrants. I'm married to an immigrant. So if you take him at his word, the reality is the visas that we give out are not going away. The question is, are we going to give out more family-based visas, or are we going to give out more merit-based visas? And right now, we give out 10,000 EB-5 visas per year. And if you increase the number of visas that the president wants for merit-based categories, we're going to have to go from about 10,000 EB-5 visas to close to 40 or 50,000 EB-5 visas per year. The reality is there aren't that many people waiting in line right now for an EB-5 visa. So the short story is it's a good sign for the EB-5 program because it fits with what the president wants, and it's also very popular with Democrats and Republicans. When I sponsored the bill in 2012, we got 400 congressmen out of 435 to vote in favor of reauthorizing the EB-5 law. I know you understand politics in Brazil. I will tell you politics in America. Republicans and Democrats rarely agree that overwhelmingly on much, specifically with regards to immigration. So the fact that the EB-5 program got over 400 votes out of 435, I would just simply submit to you that the program is here to stay. And it is a program that is promoted and supported even by what I would argue is one of the biggest critics of some of our immigration programs in our current president. So even he supports a continuation of EB-5 and actually an increase in the number of visas for EB-5. He also, though, I will say, is very adamant about increasing the price. When I met with him, he said, look, are we stupid? You know, if Canada can get $1 million, would people rather live in Canada or United States? Come on, we need to raise the price. So when people ask me what will the amount be in the new law, I say it will be a minimum of $1 million. Because if Canada's at $1 million, there's no way that the new president and the new Congress is going to say 900,000. It'll probably be somewhere between 1.3 and 1.5 million, which will put us somewhere between Canada and the UK in terms of a price. Basically, this is just summary of what I said earlier. The president's immigration policies are he wants to build a wall. You've all heard that. He wants to be very tough on illegal immigration, but he also wants to increase the number of merit-based visas, merit-based categories, and the most popular of that, of course, is the EB-5 program. Most likely going to increase the amount that we charge for EB-5 in the new law. Again, what I mentioned earlier, Canada's $1 million, Great Britain's at $2 million, Australia's at $4 million, and we're still at 500,000. Relevant question here, people will ask me, they say, oh, Congressman, what if I invest today and next month or in 6 months, your Congress decides to raise the price? What happens to me? The law, as it's currently written in the books, says that anybody who invests, you get your receipt number from USCIS, our immigration services. Once you get your receipt number, you're grandfathered in under the current immigration laws. So even if we make changes to the EB-5 program or family-based immigration or anything, you're in line with your receipt number under the current policy. If they decide to raise the price, double it, triple it, you don't put in more money. You're grandfathered into the under the current program. So when you invest your money, you have to invest it in a job-creating entity. Now, this does not mean you go and buy a restaurant in America and you have to come to America and learn how to cook and, you know, show up to work every day in the restaurant. What happens is you work with a developer in the United States who is building a large project. Typically, hotel projects are the most successful because they create a lot of jobs in construction and a lot of jobs in operation once the hotel is open. Simply put, you have to create and sustain 10 American jobs. And Kevin, who is the famous economist in EB-5, can explain the job creation in a little bit. But basically, you have to create 10 jobs. Once our government verifies you created 10 jobs, you get your green cards and you get your money back. Practically how that works is you work with a developer who's gone through the process with our immigration service to get their project approved by our government to be able to take this type of investment. And it is a official security offering from the SEC, US government, that you subscribe as though you're buying a stock or you're buying a share and investing into a project. And you invest that $500,000 and it's treated like a loan to the project, whereby in 5 years after you have your green cards, you and your family, the project must pay back that $500,000 loan to the project. You are basically giving the project cheap debt, low interest debt, in exchange for them going through the process of giving you credit for the jobs they're creating and your money back. We can walk you through some of the things to look for and not to look for in a project, but simply put, you want something that is going to guarantee you your green cards. You do not want to look at the EB-5 program as a way to make money. When people ask me about fraud, or they ask me about, hey, how do people get hurt in EB-5? And I can walk you through the different projects or the different instances where this has happened. It's always when an investor gets greedy. An investor says, oh, I want to get my family green cards and I'm going to make 10, 15, 20% on my money. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good. It's probably not real. And basically what we look for in a project is minimal risk. I want to make sure that the project is safe, that the project is going to create all the jobs that the investors need, and that you're going to get your money back. And so in order for that, you have to look for projects with very small returns, because any U.S. developer who's willing to come and go through the USCIS approval process and get the project approved to be able to take this money, they're doing all of that headache and all of that work to basically be able to pay you very little to no interest on your money. Any project in the market that is paying commercial rates to EB-5 investors is a dangerous project. And here's the simple reason. If somebody's going to pay you here in Brazil 5% on your money, the question you need to ask yourself is, what is the commercial rate in the United States for a business loan? It's about 4%. It's about 6% if you're under construction. So why would any developer come to Brazil and pay you 5% on your money if it's a solid project and it's a secure capital stack and there's enough equity in it? Why would they not just go to the US banks and get a loan? And so basically what you're doing is you're replacing more expensive bank loans with your capital in exchange for the green card process. So what do you look for when you're looking for a project? You want somebody with an experience that's done the paperwork before, because you got to fill out all the paperwork for USCIS compliance. You want a developer with experience. You want somebody who's obviously built many buildings, institutional developers, folks that have a track record of lots of real estate projects under their track record. You want a project in a good location. Basically, your money's going in as a loan, and your money needs to get paid back. And it's no different than real estate in Brazil. Location, location, location. If you invest in a hotel in Alabama or Mississippi, you've heard of those states? Nice place to visit, but I'm not sure I want to own a hotel there. If you invest in Los Angeles, Miami, New York, Chicago, large metropolitan areas, likelihood that the real estate values will continue to go up, very high likelihood they'll be able to refinance, give you your money back. You have to forgive me because I'm trying to translate this. I'm going to, what's job creation. So job creation is important. Kevin will speak to that. Basically, there's two ways that we count jobs from the government. One is construction jobs. One is operation jobs. So obviously, construction jobs are created during construction. Operation jobs are created once the hotel or the business opens. I like to advise people only invest in a project where your visa is dependent on construction jobs. Why is that? Because you want to make sure once the project is complete, once the construction is finished, all those jobs are completed, and everybody in that development gets their green cards. If your green card is dependent upon operation jobs, let's say in a hotel, maybe it's 50% occupied, and the developer said they plan for 80% occupied. Well, if all the jobs that were supposed to be created weren't created, not everybody gets their green card. And there are certain things we can give certainty to. There are certain things we can guarantee in construction. If you have a U.S. bank and they require a construction guarantee completion, that means the American bank is going to certify that if the developer goes away, the bank will complete the construction. You follow me? So there's ways that we can certify that that building, no matter what, is going to get built. How it operates, how profitable it operates, nobody can guarantee, but we can guarantee it gets built. From an immigration standpoint, our government only cares that the construction jobs get created if all the people in the program, in the development, are dependent on construction jobs only. So you want to make sure that your visa application is only dependent on construction jobs and relies nothing on the operational jobs. Whether it's under construction. I've seen people invest in great projects, very, very good projects, but that are not under construction yet. I'll give you an example. In Los Angeles, there's a very famous project that was $400 million of EB-5 capital. So 800 investors put $500,000 into the project, all Chinese investors. This was several years ago. But the project had not started construction. And what happened was the condominium market in Los Angeles got shaky. And the senior loan, which was Swiss Bank, they pulled out. And then there was a lawsuit from the neighbor because they didn't like how tall the tower was going to be. And basically, the project got put on hold for 2 years. Now, the project is now under construction. The project is going to complete, and the people will all eventually get their green cards. However, the project delayed 2 years, and so from our government's perspective, you don't start your process until your jobs are getting created. And so you want to invest in a project that's already creating jobs, that's already under construction, and the barriers of construction have been eliminated. That has all the approvals, it has the senior loan, things are going, and you want to make sure that when you invest your money, it's going to get put to work immediately. Financial guarantees, again, you want to make sure the senior loan is in place, right? Because as much as you may be a great real estate expert in Sao Paulo, and I might tell you I'm a great real estate expert in America, I will tell you nobody is harder on budgets and on numbers than an American bank. If the American bank has signed off and authorized for the senior loan, if Bank of America or Goldman Sachs or one of the major institutions in the US, if they are putting their money into the project, that is a pretty comfort level for you to be able to say, you know what, this project is real. The numbers that the developer is giving me can be substantiated. So making sure the senior loan is in place and from a reputable bank is also very important. We have a project that Kevin can talk a little bit about. This is a project in basically the wealthiest zip code in America. So you've probably heard of Beverly Hills. This is more valuable real estate than Beverly Hills. This is in Tribeca, New York. Literally across the street from this building is where Jay-Z, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Meg Ryan, they all live in one building. And this is across the street from that. The other corner has the oldest residence in all of Manhattan. And the reason why this neighborhood is so sought after is because the buildings cannot be any taller than 11 stories. Well, if you know anything about Tribeca, I'm sorry, about Manhattan, you know most of Manhattan is skyscrapers. So this neighborhood is about a 15-minute walk from the financial district, from Wall Street. So a lot of your hedge fund manager, money managers will live in Tribeca. It's all cobblestone streets, gas lantern. It's a very historic area. And so this is one of the premier developments in all of Manhattan. It's being built by the McTaggart family, which is a third generation developer. They're over 100-year-old developer in Manhattan. And their family owns 44 buildings in Manhattan. So in addition to the bank security, they have about $2 billion in U.S. real estate in Manhattan that they've pledged as security as well. So it's, for many, many reasons, it's one of the best projects on the market. And one of the benefits of being the lawmaker that did EB-5 was I got to meet all the different developers around the country, some of them not so good, some of them good. And so that is really how I got to meet Kevin Wright. Kevin is a world famous economist. He has been really responsible for most of the economic analysis that our government uses to approve projects. He's done the economic report that has gotten the project's approvals for over 900 projects. And the regional centers, which is what are used to do this type of financing, there are 800 of them in the United States, and Kevin created over 200 of them. So he is somebody that I looked to when we were reauthorizing the law for expert testimony and for advice on how to improve the law. And he is now still advising the Congress on the new law as they work on reauthorizing it once again. So he's going to talk a little bit about the project some more and his background as an economist. And then we'll open it up for questions if you have any more questions for me about the law or any of the politics of EB-5.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aaron Chock. E agora vamos à sessão principal 3, o caminho até a residência permanente nos Estados Unidos da América, com Kevin Wright, economista da Wright Johnson e Baker Tilly.
Hey, thank you. Thank you all for coming today. I am going to walk over here just so I can see the translation of the presentation here. But as Aaron said, I am an economist, so I've been working in the EB-5 field for 15 years. So I was one of the early people, the first people to get into the industry and to really popularize it. So over the last 15 years, there were 800 licenses given out to people who can participate in this program. And of that, I created 200 of those for the people, or 1 out of every 4. And then since that time, I've gone on to do the economic job studies, as well as the business plans and structuring for a little over 900 projects. Not just myself, but my staff as well. So in the last 5 years, what we've done is we've really taken the best of the best projects. So we structure about 100 projects per year. And out of that, we take 1 to 2 projects each year, the best 2 that we can find, and go around the world and help people to immigrate to America through these projects. So I'll go through a project presentation of the project that we chose for this year and explain a little about the project, but also why we chose the project and a little education on how EB-5 works. So our current project it's called the La Fouquette's Hotel. As you heard Aaron mention, it's in Tribeca, New York, which is in Lower Manhattan, which is very near the stock exchange, Wall Street, and so forth. Obviously, I'm an economist, so we talked about that a little bit. So the hotel itself, or the project itself, to give you a background of it, the hotel is run by the Barrier Company, and this is the largest hotel and casino operator of Europe. They currently operate 18 casinos across France, 140 restaurants. The 32 million people eat in their restaurants every year. They have projects that are very familiar to people in different brands around the world. So they're associated with Deauville, with Paris, with Cannes, and all of the film festivals that you may see around the world. The largest film festivals in the world are always held based in Phuket hotels and resorts around the world and Europe. So in the past, you can see they've been around for more than 100 years, and celebrities have been going there forever. From you have Steven Spielberg and Brad Pitt, all the way back to the old days with Elizabeth Taylor. So the flagship or the sister hotel to the one being built in New York is the Phuket Hotel in Paris. So this is at the very center of Paris. This has been there since the 1800s. A very, very famous hotel, very flagship. It's been the home to the G7 Summit. It's been the home to the Caesars Film Festival. It's basically the most widely recognized high-end five-star hotel in all of France. And again, it is also the home to that Caesars Film Festival, which is the anchor of all Phuket hotels, are based on entertainment, such as this is the other one in Cannes. This is where the world-famous Cannes Film Festival takes place, as well as many political events, the G20, the G8. World leaders from around the world have their meetings here. It's a very, very well-known for ultra-luxury brand. Now, again, we have another one. This is located in Deauville, the home of the Deauville Film Festival, as well as, I believe, the G20 summit here. Many political and entertainment events are always held in these hotels. What's interesting and why we're building this in New York is the fact that 40% of the guests that go to these hotels are Americans. So they're very, very familiar with the brand and very looking for that luxury and that style of hotel. And a lot of them are from New York. Along with this, we're bringing New York being the home of five-star restaurants. We're bringing the most highly decorated chef in the world for the first time to New York. So this is Pierre Garnier. He's building a restaurant in the hotel. At the time this was made, he had 13 Michelin stars. He now won 3 more. He now has 16 Michelin stars, which is more than any other chef in the world. They've actually made books about him. They made a movie about his life. He's a very, very famous chef. And again, this will be the very first hotel or restaurant that he places in our hotel in Tribeca, New York. And so the project itself, as we talked about, is a hotel, and it's a boutique, ultra-luxury hotel, 96 rooms, again, in Tribeca, New York. It has its own movie theater of 99-seat film theater to host the Tribeca Film Festival, which is one of the top 2 film festivals in all of the United States, as well as a 450-seat restaurant, which we talked about with Pierre Garnier. Now, the location of the project, Tribeca, New York, this is the #1 zip code in all of America in terms of wealth per resident there. More than Beverly Hills, more than Miami, more than anywhere else in New York itself. One of the reasons for this is it's located right near the headquarters of Goldman Sachs, the New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street, and all the major corporations that headquarters out of New York City. They're all in Lower Manhattan, right in these skyscrapers. But the area of Tribeca has a zoning requirement. You cannot build over 11 stories, and therefore this is the desirable place to be because you have the cobblestone streets and the quietness and upscale without all of the skyscrapers and people looking down on you into your windows across the street. So that's what's made it some of the most expensive land in all of America. It's also one of the reasons it's going to be very successful. When you look at an EB-5 project, you do not want to invest in Iowa or Kansas or a place you've never heard of. You want to invest in a heavily urban area, such as New York and Los Angeles, San Francisco. That is where people congregate and where people come to, tourists, business people that fill hotels. you couldn't even possibly build a hotel like this in Iowa. So we talked a little bit about the area and some of the things around it, as well as the downtown area. You also have all of the major transit. As Aaron talked about, this is the area where all the stars and all the wealthy people of New York live, all in the same area. I mean, from, you can see them on the screen here. We have basically every celebrity in the U.S. owns a home in the Tribeca area. One of the other nice things about it is the transit system. You're right next to both the Brooklyn Bridge is very near here, as well as the Holland Tunnel. Basically, you can get anywhere into New Jersey and across to Brooklyn in a very, very short period of time due to the mass transit that's all located near here. So we talked a little about the fact that the hotel itself is based around film festivals. And Robert De Niro started the Tribeca Film Festival and coincidentally owns the only other hotel that is a five-star hotel in Tribeca called the Greenwich Street Hotel. And since that, he has promoted this film festival and really pushed it to the point it's the #2 film festival in the entire United States today. It brings a tremendous amount of revenue to the area and is very, very well known. Now, one of the other things about EB-5 to understand is that the #1 thing you look for when you make an investment is to understand who's the developer. The developer is the person who is using all of your money. So you really want to invest in a very large institutional developer. There's many people that do this program, and they're local developers and nice people. But if something goes wrong, they need to be backed by a large amount of financing. Because, if you build a hotel in America, I'm sure it's the same thing as Brazil. If a builder tells you they're going to build you a house, a building, whatever it is, and they tell you it's going to cost $1 million, the one thing you can be sure of is it's going to cost more than $1 million. That's how builders work, right? So you need to have developers who have very, very large amounts of money behind them that can write checks for these things so that they don't come back to you and say, oh, we ran out of money, we need more money from you, right? So in our case, in this project, we have the McTaggart family. They're nobility from the UK. Originally, they were from Scotland. They've been developing buildings since 1896, largest developer in all of Scotland, then moved to London, where they still own 18 properties today. And then they moved to Manhattan, where they own 44 properties in Manhattan alone, still today. They are worth in excess of $5 billion, nearly $2 billion of assets in Manhattan alone. Very familiar with the area and very capable of, building something, completing on time. They've never had a building not complete. They are able to get completion guarantees on every single thing to make sure that the project will complete, both on time but on budget as well. We mentioned that they have the 16 properties in London and as well as Manhattan, but in addition to that, they have 5 private islands in the Caribbean. One of the islands is very famous. It's known as one of the most exclusive islands in the entire Earth, as it is not located on any maps. The only way you can go there is if you're invited to go there, and the cost to stay there per night is probably more money than I make in a year. But they're very well known for luxury, for very big institutional financing behind them. So the EB-5, how does that play into it? The first thing you need to understand in any EB-5 investment, there's 2 questions you really need to understand. How do you know you're going to get the green card, and how do you know you will get your money back? By law, both of these things have to be at risk by US law. So the goal is to try and get to 99.9% certainty you're going to achieve both. And the first one is, how do you know you're going to get a green card? And that's all based on jobs. The project you invest into has to create 10 jobs for every single investor. So in this case, there are 78 investors in this project, so 780 jobs need to be created for everyone to get a green card. Now, as Aaron talked about, there's different types of jobs. One of the things you may see are restaurant franchises, for example, or hotels that are operating in small areas. These depend on what they call operating jobs, or people who run around, they serve you food, they work in the hotel, and you see them every day. These are not very safe jobs because they have to be consistently maintained and always be there during your whole process. It is much safer to invest in a project based on construction. In construction, the government relies on a math formula that an economist like myself prepares in a report. So if you spend the money and if you build the building, you get credit for the jobs. And in that way, they don't have to be sustained. You don't have to count people running around. You just spend the money, you get the credit. And that's why we only look at projects that have construction jobs alone. You want a project that has a completion guarantee and is already under construction. I mean, Aaron mentioned some of the things that can happen when you invest into a project that's not under construction and doesn't have a guarantee to complete. If they don't complete the project, then the jobs aren't created and the green card isn't achieved. So that's why you only do something very, very safe depending on indirect jobs created through construction. So in this example, the next question is, how do you get your money back and how do you know your money is safe? So the first thing you look at is what they call the capital stack, or who are all the people putting money in. So in this case, you have the senior loan, which is basically equivalent to half of all the funding of the project through a U.S. bank, a bank that has done all of the due diligence on the project, who's really looked at it for a fundamentally long period of time. Then there's the EB-5 portion, which is a little over 25%. And then you have the developer's money. So how it works is that the bank is always in first position. If anything were to go wrong, the bank gets their money first. The EB-5 investors get their money second. And the last person is the developer themselves. The McTaggart family has put in $34 million of cash. Before anyone that invests in the project loses $1, the McTaggart family has to lose all $34 million and walk away from the project, which is extremely unlikely. So then you look at, well, how do you get your money back? In a hotel, what happens is you build a hotel in the US, then you operate it for a year or two, and then you get refinancing or a permanent loan for a long period of time, and that money is used to repay all the investors. It's usually about a 5-year life cycle. And what the bank is going to look at the end of 5 years is what are the ratios in terms of what is the loan to value, how much equity is there, how much is the hotel property worth. So in this case, what you want to look for is a project where you've had world-renowned hospitality experts who are providing the valuations. These are the same people that the bank will use to determine how much money they will offer on refinance to make sure everyone gets their money back. So in this case, you can look at the fact that there's going to be $71 million of equity generated in this project with only $93 million of debt. That's easily refinanceable, and it's backed by JLL, Jones Lang LaSalle, which is the largest hospitality company in the entire world that evaluates hotel projects. So the construction began quite a while ago, in 2017. It is ongoing. It's a 3-year construction period, currently set to end in 2020 in the summer. There is construction completion guarantees for those time periods. There is also a 24-hour camera where people can go and watch the construction happen every single day and the crews that are working on it. And in that way, you know it's going to complete, which also guarantees you or basically assures you that you are going to get the job creation and you're not going to have a failed immigration petition based on jobs. So then you look at all the people involved with the project. As from a service provider example, I'm an economist, the head economist for Baker Tilly Capital. Again, we're a company with 800 offices in 145 countries. We do $3.7 billion of revenue every year, as well as I think we have 9 offices here in Brazil. But we do the economic studies for the project, including this one. Your money, for another thing, your money is safe in the sense that when you wire your money, it goes into escrow before it goes to the project. your application has to be accepted by USCIS, and they have to give you a receipt notice that your application for a green card is in process before any of your money is ever released. And that's done through NES Financial, which is the largest escrow company in the United States. They administer $80 billion of escrow every single year. That being said, everyone that worked on the project is very, very well known. And this is the 13th project that I've been associated directly with. So that being said, I mean, these are all kind of the major points of this particular project. But if you have any questions about EB-5 investments in general, or how jobs are created, or anything at all involving that, this is all we do for the last 15 years. So very happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin. E agora, nós vamos fazer um apanhado geral através do senhor Carlo Barbieri e, na sequência, abriremos para perguntas.
Foram ver, quer dizer, nós temos muito orgulho como a liberdade de falar como Chamber of Commerce ou como Oxford, e ter essas duas personalidades aí, o Kevin e o deputado, que pela primeira vez se juntam para explicar EB-5 de uma maneira profissional, profunda, dando a oportunidade que a gente conheça exatamente quais as possibilidades, oportunidades, os riscos e quem pode se candidatar e de que maneira a gente vai receber o dinheiro de volta para quem investir, em quanto tempo a gente vai ter esse green card. Eu acho que mais do que fazer um fechamento, nós vamos fazer uma abertura, abrindo para perguntas de cada um dos senhores que possam dirigi-las a qualquer um aqui na mesa sobre o que foi apresentado, sobre o EB-5 e sobre o projeto em particular.
Senhoras e senhores, podem utilizar os microfones da mesa. Basta levantar a mão. Já temos lá duas perguntas, por favor.
Sorry? Please, I would like to understand one possibility in terms of, for instance, now I have to implement a company in US because I'm helping some companies from US to bring their products to Brazil. But I'm not investing 500,000 in this operation because it's a simple operation. But along the time, the process will grow, and I will have to invest more and more until the process gets ready probably in 1 year or two. So my question is possible also after you have already implemented a company to apply to EB-5 in the future?
Right. So, people do ask, can you do your own project and do your own company and then get an EB-5 visa based on that? And the short answer is yes, you can. But the longer answer is you have to understand that the projects that are done through the regional centers, which are set up for immigration very specifically, are structured in a way to maximize job creation and eliminate risk. When you do your own project, the things you have to understand are you have to employ 10 people. They have to be employed for a period of probably around 4 to 5 years consistently. And if anything goes wrong with your business, where your business either loses the money and can't employ those people or something, you will not get the green card. Now, that being said, before you apply for the EB-5 green card, you have to have invested the $500,000. And that can't be done in a gradual way where you invest, let's say, $100,000, and then you get profits of another $100,000, so you reinvest it. And then you make $200,000, so you reinvest it, and eventually it equals $500. It doesn't work that way because you have to show that you've saved the money from some other source and invested all $500,000 at one time. So if you do have the ability to invest $500,000 into your own business before you apply for EB-5, and that money is not made from the profit of the same business you're running, you can do that for EB-5 purposes, but you can't do it in a way like that.
Okay.
Carlos, eu pergunto para você. A minha empresa aqui quer abrir uma filial nos Estados Unidos. Eu sou obrigado a investir $500 mil em dinheiro ou posso mandar em mercadoria esse valor?
Bom, eu sigo na resposta do Kevin, quer dizer, você pode fazer o seu projeto EB-5, que a gente chama EB-5 direto, que é aquele feito através do seu, para você mesmo, tomando, logicamente, os riscos do seu negócio. Nós fizemos ano passado 6 EB-5 direto para pessoas que quiserem ter o green card investindo dinheiro no seu próprio projeto. Agora, o dinheiro tem que ser disponibilizado de uma vez em cash, porque um dos documentos essenciais para a aplicação do projeto EB-5 na imigração americana é que você tenha um recibo prova do investimento feito. Claro que você, dentro do seu projeto, você pode considerar que esse dinheiro vai ser aplicado em produtos e mercadorias que você quer exportar, no desenvolvimento do seu projeto. Isso é uma liberdade total. Você criando 10 empregos novos. No caso do EB-5 direto, você tem que criar diretamente. No caso do indireto, que é através de centros regionais, você usa a plataforma dos empregos indiretos. Mas você tem que investir de uma vez e provar ao longo do tempo que você criou os 10 empregos, mesmo que você use o dinheiro para depois você comprar o produto que você queira da sua própria mercadoria.
For how long the money is kept? Let's say, when is the money available for the investor, the original investor?
So, these are private enterprises, so it could be any amount that the project sets. But in most cases, the industry has set a basic level of you will get your money returned to you 5 years after you make the investment. So it's structured like a loan. Basically, you're going to loan your money to the project at a very low interest rate. It's almost nothing. And after the end of 5 years, you get the return of your money when they refinance that project and give it all back to you.
Para acrescentar na análise do custo, da remuneração do dinheiro, que o Kevin enfatiza muito com razão, que esse é um projeto para obtenção do green card, não é para você fazer dinheiro. Mas o dinheiro que a gente calcula é sobre aquilo que a gente faz mudando para lá. Quando você considera que uma escola de uma criança custa quase $2 mil por mês aqui, você leva 2 filhos. Quando você considera que um carro paga lá $85 por ano para fazer o IPVA, e aqui paga um pouco mais que isso, dependendo do carro, certo? Quando você considera que você vai pegar um Mercedes por $300 por mês, você para ter um carro decente aqui, você vai pagar um valor enorme. Quando você considera que um condomínio, quando eu mudei daqui para os Estados Unidos, eu pagava $4.600 por mês no meu condomínio. Lá eu pagava $900 por trimestre. Uma casa mais ou menos do mesmo tamanho, com um conforto semelhante. Então, se você somar aquilo que você ganha em sendo residente nos Estados Unidos, seguramente essa renda não vai ser o 0,25, essa renda vai ser 5, 10, 15, 20% ao ano, em função daquilo que você deixa de gastar e tem a qualidade de vida lá.
One thing I didn't mention is 2 points. One, the difference between permanent residency in the United States and citizenship. So oftentimes people will ask, well, how long does the process take? From the time you invest, while your money's at risk for 5 years, the U.S. issues your green card. Right now, on our government website, it shows by country. So unless you're from China or Vietnam or South Korea, their wait time is longer because they're consuming more than their allotted visas. Brazil, most of Brazil is not as familiar with EB-5 as those other countries. For example, last year we helped 8,000 Chinese applicants do EB-5. Last year in Brazil, it was less than 300. If you apply in Brazil today, you, as an applicant, and all of your dependent children, if you want, so let me clarify. With one investment, a husband or wife and their spouse and all children under 21 all qualify for a green card with one investment. Once you make the investment, the government today estimates from Brazil it's 18 to 24 months. So if you invest today, in 18 to 24 months, your entire family can have permanent residency. What that means is that you can come and go to the United States as much as you want. There's no minimum residency requirement. You don't have to stay in the U.S. for 6 months. You don't have to stay in the U.S. for 1 month. You can come and go back and forth to Brazil and the U.S. You can keep your citizenship in Brazil. You can be a resident in the United States. If you're a resident of the United States, you can do everything that I can do as an American in terms of schooling, in terms of buying property, buying farm ground, which is restricted from foreign nationals, but as a resident, you can buy farm ground. You get everything that a U.S. citizenship gets except 3 things. You can't vote, you can't buy a gun, and you can't join the military. I say that because some people say, well, I don't know if I want to be a U.S. citizen. It's up to you. Once you are a permanent resident, our government asks that you stay at least 6 months out of the year or 50% of the time over a 5-year period. So if you want to come to the United States and come back to Brazil, back and forth, and spend most of your time in Brazil, that's okay. You just can't become a citizen until you start spending a majority of your time in Brazil. I'm sorry, the majority of your time in the U.S. The other point is, not everybody in your family has to agree on each other's future. So if you're husband and wife and you want to do this program, but you want to spend most of your time in Brazil, but you have 1 child or 2 child or 5 children, and you think they want to go to the U.S. for education, they may move to America. They may go to American University, and they may decide they want to live in America forever. And they may decide they want to become U.S. citizens. That's okay. Not everybody has to do the same thing, even though you're all qualifying under one application. Once you go for your consulate interview in 18 to 24 months, once you're approved, you'll all have your own number. So if one of you decides you want to tear up your application, you no longer want to be a resident, you know, it doesn't matter. Everybody is their own boat at that point. The final point I'll say is there is significant educational benefits if you have children. And there's the reason why the Chinese have gotten very smart about EB-5 is for 2 reasons. One, if you're applying to American universities, most American universities have a cap on the number of foreign applicants they can take. So, you know, if you're applying to Harvard or Princeton, the cap is 20%. 80% of their applicants have to be either residents of America or green cards of America. That means if you're a foreign applicant, you're competing with the 5 billion population of the world for the 20% slots at the top universities. If you are now a green card holder or a permanent resident of the United States, you now compete with, we like to joke, the dumb Americans. So you have a much higher propensity, a much higher likelihood of acceptance at your desired university. Second, you now qualify for domestic tuition rates. Give you an example. My home state has the #1 accounting program in the nation at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. It's better than Harvard or Princeton. If you are a U.S. resident, better yet, if you're a Brazilian resident and you get accepted at the University of Illinois, the tuition rate on their website, you can see it's $50,000 US per year. If you're a U.S. resident, it's $15,000 a year. So if your child is coming to the U.S. simply for education, 4 years of a bachelor's degree, if they end up getting a master's degree, more than justifies why parents, particularly in China, have been doing this just for their child. The mom and dad have no interest in coming to the United States. They invest the money in the child's name, get the child residency, and they do it when their child is 15 or 16. And they do it early so that the child can be an applicant for American University at a young age. We also are seeing a lot of applicants on H-1B. People in the United States who've come, gotten an education on an F-1 visa. They're now working at Google or Microsoft or Boeing, but they have to play the lottery every 3 years. And they have to win one of these sacred guest worker visas. And they're worried about whether they're going to keep winning the lottery. And so now they're doing the EB-5 program for certainty. So anyway, significant education benefit for people, and that's why we're seeing a big growth in the program. The other thing I would mention is you're all business people at this meeting primarily, and as a member of the tax committee in Congress, I will tell you one of America has many things that we're proud of. One of the things I'm not proud of is we are the only industrialized country that believes that we should be able to tax all of your worldwide income. So what this means is if you make money in Switzerland, or you make money in Brazil, or you make money in China, if you're now a U.S. green card holder, our government requires you to disclose your worldwide earnings and pay the difference in the foreign tax you paid and any difference in U.S. tax. So top rate in the U.S. is 37%. Most well-off individuals don't usually pay more than 20% because there's ways you can structure it to reduce your tax. But if you're in a country where you're paying no tax, or you're paying 10% tax, now you have to pay 20% tax. You have to pay that difference. I point that out so you're aware, but also because, again, we help people with, maybe the husband does not want to be on the application. If the husband and wife do not want to move to the United States right away, we mentioned chain migration, family migration. If you invest the money in your wife's name, your wife and all your children can get a green card in 24 months. If 5 years later, your wife is a U.S. citizen, and 10 years later, or 5 years later, or 15 years later, you want to retire, and you want to move to the United States, where your children are now settled and have gone into education and have a family, you have a right through chain migration. Within 6 months you apply, you get your citizenship if you're married to a U.S. citizen. So sometimes people invested in their wife's name. They let their children get the education benefits. They move to the children move to the United States. Husband and wife may stay in Brazil for a few years, as long as they want. The husband eventually retires, and they can then execute their right through chain migration, but they haven't had to pay all that tax during their working years to allow their children the education benefit. We don't put it in the husband's name, don't put the husband on the application. So there are certain things we can help consult with if this is something you're thinking you want to do. If not for you, perhaps you know someone in your community or in your family that this could be a benefit to.
Perguntas na plateia, por favor.
Hello. Hi, my name is Talita, and my question is about double citizenship. In case I am Brazilian and I have an Italian citizenship, is that change anything about the treatment in the visa? I'm not sure, but I think I have read about European have more advantage establishing the visa in the United States.
Well, as far as the EB-5 program works, it's based on the country you were born in. So it wouldn't matter if you have 5 passports to 5 different countries, which ones they are. It's simply based on what country you are born in and where your birth certificate comes from.
Born in Italy?
No, I was born here.
Born in Brazil?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
okay.
born here.
I mean, Italy has an 18 to 24 month wait time also, so it.
Okay, but there is any difference about the visa or no?
Nope.
Okay.
Mais perguntas, por gentileza, na plateia?
Queria só destacar a presença aqui do Fábio, que é da Advance. Se vocês precisarem remeter dinheiro para fazer o seu EB-5, ele está lá naquela ponta. É um grande parceiro nosso. Nós temos conseguido receber os dinheiros via Advance de quem quer aplicar lá. Normalmente o EB-5 você é isento de qualquer taxa, né, de imposto. Você só paga o 0,38 para fazer a remessa. E a Advance que está aí, hoje infelizmente não tivemos tempo para dar para eles fazerem a apresentação, mas realmente é uma grande opção de remessa a taxas normalmente melhores que a dos bancos que a gente trabalha.
Bem, senhor Barbieri, creio que teremos aqui vários multiplicadores dessas informações e já temos lá uma pessoa que manterá contato e as informações. Eu agradeço, por enquanto, a atenção de todos que estiveram aqui e gostaria de passar a palavra e para as suas considerações finais e encerramento, o senhor Farid Murad, diretor da São Paulo Chamber of Commerce.
Bom, hoje foi um dia de muita alegria aqui na Associação Comercial. No período da manhã, nós tivemos, conforme o Carlos já mencionou, nós tivemos uma palestra do nosso candidato a vice-presidente da República, o general Hamilton Mourão, que nos deu uma aula de geopolítica, aula de economia e aula de civismo. Realmente foi uma excelente palestra que nos deixou bastante confiante no futuro do nosso país. Se eles assumirem a presidência, a gente pode ficar tranquilo pelo que ele mostrou hoje, porque é um homem de extremo conhecimento e muita disciplina. E agora à tarde também tivemos uma excelente aula sobre o projeto EB-5. Eu quero agradecer muito ao Kevin, ao Aaron e ao Carlo Barbieri por estar aqui, nos trazerem essa espécie de presente que para a gente é muito importante, porque eu, por exemplo, vivi uma época da minha vida nos Estados Unidos, na região de Chicago, e gosto muito dos Estados Unidos, e se eu tiver a oportunidade, eu ainda, quem sabe, eu mesmo não vou partir para um projeto desses. Eu queria agradecer a todos a presença, nosso muito obrigado, e continue a participar dos eventos da Associação Comercial, que eles são feitos com muito amor e muito carinho. É dedicado a vocês, empresários e amigos. Muito obrigado e uma boa tarde.
Obrigado, senhor Farid. Nesse momento, nós teremos já confirmadas aqui as presenças dos nossos prezados senhor Carlo Barbieri, o senhor Aaron Chock e o senhor Kevin Wright, na nossa sessão de networking, que acontecerá no 12º andar, juntamente com o COF. Então, convidamos a todos que subam ao 12º andar e fiquem à vontade para conversar com os nossos convidados. Muito obrigado a todos, um ótimo final de tarde e depois um ótimo retorno às suas atividades. Obrigado.
Há um elevador que nos leva direto ao 12º.